Welcome everyone to today's FSRC training. FSRC stands for the Filthy Stinkin' Rich Club because we want all of you to be filthy stinkin' rich. There are 6 of us business leaders who put on training for you each and every week to help you be successful in your Tupperware business. So thank you for joining me today. My name is Cora Putz, and I'm the Presidential Executive Business Leader of our top of the line company here in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. A little bit about my family. We like to call ourselves CP4 because we all have the initials CP. I'm married to my husband, Chris, who just about a year ago quit his full-time job to join me in Tupperware full-time, which has totally changed our life as parents and as a family too. Prior to, joining me in Tupperware, he would be off to work before our kids were even awake in the morning. And by the time we got home from work, we were already eating supper or on our way to evening activities. So my children are really fortunate to have an active dad in their life with different activities and family stuff and things like that. Our daughter Caitlin is 12 and Carson is 10. I joined Tupperware in February of 2009 with no intention of building a Tupperware business. I simply joined because the person who invited me didn't give up on me. And I'm so grateful for that because she asked me not once, not twice, 4 different times to join her team. And I finally said yes. At that time, there was 2 kit options. I chose the bigger one because size does matter. And I did not intend to build a Tupperware business or even sell it at all. And in fact, I was never going to do a Tupperware party. Before I was in Tupperware, I managed the student recruitment office at the University of Saskatchewan. So I was responsible for recruiting students to attend the university. And I loved that job. And I was there for 10 years. And it wasn't until I decided not to go back to work after my mat leave with Carson that I made the decision to build a Tupperware business because I thought there has to be something better to life than working 80 hours a week and getting paid for 35. So once I started building my Tupperware business, I promoted to director in December of 2010. And then I became a business leader in April of 2016. But take a look at our sales results as a top of the line company. So we started only 10 years ago. And in 2018, we've had consistent growth and we were at nearly $12.3 million in sales. Right now we have 66 directors. This slide was actually from a training I did at Leadership Conference earlier this year on this very same topic. And I did this training for our business leaders across North America. So I did my first party in March of 2010. So a year after I joined. That's important to note because a lot of us sign people up and people join our team and they are not sure yet if they want to build a Tupperware business. And I recommend that you don't give up on them. Give them the opportunity to do a party, 2 months later, 6 months later, or in my case, 13 months after I joined. Once I did promote to director, I was doing 2 to 4 home parties a week or trade shows or events. I was getting out of the house and building my Tupperware business in a meaningful and strategic way 2 to 4 times a week. And I really believe that this business is built around the home party and the home party demo and using products in your kitchen. In 2011, my first month as a director, we started hosting team cooking parties. And that's what I want to share with you today because I truly believe that every consultant through to director can be and should be hosting team cooking parties on at least a monthly basis. So why did we start doing team cooking parties? It was a way to connect with our team and a way to connect with each other and build relationships with each other. It was an opportunity to train team on products, on tips about products, how to burp a Tupperware seal, how to use a can opener properly, some of the different ways, recipes with stack cookers. It was also a way to do reward and recognition. So if I had done challenges for the previous month, people would come to the team cooking parties and they would receive their award. Or we would do, top 3 in the room for the past month or top 2 in the room. It really depended on attendance and they would get rewarded with gifts and such. What is a team cooking party? Well, the truth of the matter is no team No two team cooking parties look the same. And they really have evolved over the years to meet our business needs. So team cooking parties really depend on who's hosting them and what the goal is at the team cooking party. So let me go back and take you back to some of our first team cooking parties and what we did. Well, they were all hosted by me at that time and in my home. Guests were always welcome, but I always made them adult only. Now, obviously, my children would have been in the house at the time. They typically weren't in the room, although we were in the kitchen. So if they needed a snack or something, they would come in the room. But my husband would be home and he would be, parenting while the team cooking party was going on. Now I try and host them when my kids had evening activities. So they're typically not at home, but they are going to arrive at some point and walk to the kitchen to, hang up their backpack or their dance bag or their hockey bag or whatever. And it's important to say the guests are always welcome. Now, I always have my team cooking parties as adult only. But I do encourage people, if they wish to welcome kids to their team cooking parties and it's in their home, that's totally acceptable, because when you're hosting the event, you really do get to make your own rules. I would host these events on a monthly basis. And, it wasn't a consistent day and time each month. What we would do is when we were having the team cooking party, we would all pull out our calendars or on our phones or day timers or whatever, and we would choose the date for the following month that worked for the most people. Once that date was set, then we would create a Facebook event in our top of the line Facebook group, and everyone would be invited. But we would choose the date based on those in attendance at the event. Typically, we would have about 5 recipes highlighting a variety of products. So if there was a team cooking party this week or this month, definitely the step cooker would be part of, at least one of the recipes, because it's currently the welcome bonus. If it was this week, we'd also have the pressure cooker because it is the host offer. We'd probably do a recipe with the vent and serve or with some of the new products in the new catalog, like the egg slicer or the cold brew or the Mando grater. So we would try and use new products, a variety of products, and then products that were part of Tupperware's promotional material. The first team cooking parties would have team members making recipes one at a time. And actually, this is probably something that still happens today. So, if we had 5 recipes happening at my house, 5 different people would bring their ingredients for the recipe. They'd bring their own Tupperware for the recipe, and then I would give them a gift for demoing. This really allowed us to have a variety of people doing the demos. So different people could be learning from others, and it gave others, an opportunity to stand in front of the room and build their confidence and build their skills so that they could go out and do these sorts of demos with their customers, with their friends, and with their team. So I would use the Tupperware I got in stock as the gift for demoing. So typically what I would do is at the end of the event, I would say, okay, so whoever demoed for the first time today at a team cooking party, they would get to choose their gift first off the table. Anyone who's demoed before would get a ticket. They would draw out of a bowl and they would get to choose next. And the type of things I would have on the table would be, about a thank you gift value from the catalog. So the gift that you get at that $2.25 level in Canada. So, maybe an $18 value or higher, but it was all stuff I had in stock, items I had earned through challenges from Tupperware or my upline, or items I earned through host credit when I had combined orders to make a party and I had host. So similar to a mystery host party, but I was rewarding it in a team cooking party way. So the benefit of that is people did bring their own Tupperware. They took their dirty Tupperware home. Now, there were times when people would need to use my Tupperware because they might not have the product yet. They might not own it. It might be something that only I had as a director. But most times they brought their Tupperware from home. So, an average flow of the event, this would be, like a typical flow of the event. So I always have the doors open time. And that was super important to me because I didn't want people arriving too early. I wanted to be able to have supper with my family, and I wanted people to know when they could arrive. But I also wanted to have the on-time draw time. So doors open at 6:30, on-time draw at 7. And why was that important? Well, if someone could only come for 2 hours, I wanted them to be there at 7 and not at 6:30. I wanted to respect their time. And we did do the on-time draw right at 7, and we would get started right away. And I feel it's important to do that on-time draw right at 7 or 7:01 so that you get started right away. And it kind of shows that you're respecting people's time, and people who aren't on time will show up on time later. And you know what? Sometimes what I did is I would actually give everyone the tickets at 7 and tell them we're going to get started with the recipes because we want to get some products in the microwaves, because we had several recipes in the microwave. And then we would do the draw later. So others who did arrive later would see what the prize was, and they would have FOMO, fear of missing out, and they would want to show up early in the future, or on time at least in the future. We would also do introductions, and oftentimes, because when we first started doing these, we only had one microwave. Now at team cooking parties, if they're larger, I will have 2 or possibly even 3 microwaves in different rooms in my home. So it helps a little bit if we are cooking multiple things. And sometimes we wouldn't do the introductions right away. We would do the first recipe first, get it in the microwave, and then do introductions. I always like to have name tags, so I encourage everyone to bring their Tupperware name tag. And if they don't have one, I would have the sticker name tags that they could put on with a Sharpie. Cooking would begin one at a time. If there were any guests or new team members in the room, they were always the ones to use the Tupperware. So I would start a group chat with who was demoing recipes at this team cooking party, and to make sure that we had a variety of different pieces of Tupperware being used. And if, every recipe had a can opener, typically I would say, well, just the first person will demo the can opener. And then going forward, just have your can already open and ready to go, because we don't need to see it being opened multiple times unless someone had a really unique way of opening a can. So there were times when, maybe more than one person would use the can opener as an example. We'd always take a look at the RSVP list as well to see who was coming, who the guests were, who the new team members were, so that we knew, well, maybe we do have enough guests coming. We want all 5 cans being opened so that each person can open one. So what we would do then when we did the first recipe is the first person would share how to use it, and all 5 cans for the recipes would be done at the same time by the 5 guests, and then we would continue with the first recipe. So we really try and make it as quick and as speedy as possible so that there's more time for networking. So as we would be, getting recipes prepared, it would always be like, okay, so who hasn't tried the Great Master, or who hasn't tried the knives? And different people would get to try it as we went throughout the evening. As people did their recipes, they shared features and benefits and tips about the products so that we always learned new things. And it was interesting because, the person demoing would share their tips, but sometimes other people would add them too. And it really built up our knowledge about the products, which helps when you go and do your Tupperware parties. At the end of, the recipe being completed, pictures are always taken so that you can see the final picture, and we can use those pictures to show off on our Facebook, in our VIP groups, and in our Facebook parties. And then, of course, the sampling begins, and then networking training to follow. So as we're sampling, we're talking about, well, how would we adapt this recipe for, maybe someone who doesn't like chocolate, or someone who prefers not to have chicken, or someone who would want it spicier, or, we're always talking about how could we adapt the recipes. And then sometimes we would have training topics as well. So depending on the season, we would train on different things. Like it could be, how to submit an order. It could be on Tupper Connect, fundraisers. It really depended on who the audience was at the team cooking party and what kind of their needs were. When we did the first team cooking parties, I would always recognize top in sales and recruiting and whoever promoted a level. So manager, star manager, executive manager. And then there was an opportunity to ask questions as well. Everyone received a gift for attending. So it could be something like a tiny treasure or a refrigerator bowl or something in between. And again, I would use things that I could really get at a deep discount, or items that I earned for free from Tupperware. So it could even be a snack cup or a Tupper Mini. Size doesn't really matter when it comes to the gift for attending. people just need to know they're appreciated and thank you. Also, we would reward people just at a party for an extra gift if they brought a guest. So again, a tiny treasure could be a funnel or it could be a snack cup, whatever you have in stock. What I've found is lots of team members who want to grow their business have one, maybe two, maybe even 10 boxes of Tupperware sitting there that are never going to go in their kitchen and they're not sure what to do with it. This is a great way to use your Tupperware you have in stock to build your business. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you would get a gift for demoing. So, it could be a lunch set, a bowl set, maybe a logo item. And there would be some draw gifts as well. So like the on-time draw, maybe a water bottle or something like that. We're not talking huge items here. And again, things that you have in stock. I don't know if there was ever a time I needed to invest money to buy more products for a team cooking party. So oftentimes on display, I would have the current sample items on display in my kitchen. And where I live, I've loaned out my samples to other team members who host team cooking parties so they could have those samples on display. So it would be, the current monthly brochure, maybe a couple of new items from the catalog, maybe the new kit. It really just depended on what I thought the people coming would want to see. And then, of course, because it's in my kitchen, my pantry is already filled with modular mates. My fridge is filled with fridge smarts. My cupboards are filled with tumblers and bowls. And really, there's Tupperware in action everywhere in my kitchen. So a team cooking party is, in a lot of ways, better than a Tupperware party because people can see a lot more Tupperware than they would at a traditional Tupperware party where you're taking a bag of Tupperware to someone's home. So someone might say, well, do you have the serving center? Well, that's not something I would typically take to a party, but I could easily pull it out of my cupboard at a team cooking party. Or they might want to try a different knife or a different blade for the Great Master or something like that. So having guests at team cooking parties or new team members is really a great way to get them building their wish list because they're going to want more Tupperware than they leave. Now, how have team cooking parties evolved? Well, team cooking parties can really be hosted by anyone and everyone across Canada and, of course, to our FSRC friends across the U.S. Directors definitely host them and encourage their team to host them, but new consultants, brand new consultants can host them too. And in fact, we have had guests host them as well. So when we've had guests at our team cooking parties, some of them who have never wanted to date a Tupperware party have asked if they could date a team cooking party. And of course, the answer is yes. Why would they choose to date a team cooking party over a Tupperware party? Well, one reason is, it's a little less pressure. The second is, as the host, they're not required to, have 10 or 8 friends for a party. We're going to bring the people to the party in their home. Also, what happens at a team cooking party is it's open to our entire company. And that is super important. That differentiates a Tupperware party and a team cooking party. So to give an example, if I was hosting a team cooking party in my home, I'm likely to get the most benefit from that team cooking party because my recruits who joined for the summer gig kit this summer and maybe haven't submitted an order yet are more likely to come to my house. So they're going to join me at my house. My friends, my family, my neighbors are more likely to come to my house. So already the attendance is mostly people who are on my team or my guests. Now, because I've opened this event up to our entire TOTL company, other people across our company who may not be connected with me because maybe I'm a manager right now, but they're on a different director team, they're going to come and they might bring 1 or 2 people with them as well, or they might come on their own. But they're going to come and make their famous one-pot pasta in the pressure cooker. Well, perhaps I'm new and I don't even own a pressure cooker. I haven't even used it yet, or maybe I haven't made that recipe yet. Someone else is going to come and make cake in the stack cooker. Again, maybe that's not a product I own yet. So already you can see we can have 2 team members from our company who are going to come to my house, make their recipe. They're going to sell their products, and they might have 1 or 2 team members in attendance as well, or 1 or 2 guests. But because it's at my house, I'm probably going to have the most, and I have the most to gain from it. So that's really the benefit of a team cooking party. in that different people are going to come and share their recipes with your new team or your team and your guests. We've also changed the name over time to suit our needs. So some people prefer to call it a team social or a cooking social. Some people prefer to theme them. So you could do cookie decorating or cake decorating or a freezer meal or game day snacks or Christmas snacks or Christmas goodies or appetizers. You could theme them any way that you like that's going to help you to get people to attend. And that's really what it's about. Sometimes people like themes because, everyone around Halloween, everyone can come and bring something, a recipe that has orange in it, or maybe a piece of Tupperware that has orange in it, or everyone's wearing something with orange. The sky's the limit as far as what you might do to make your team cooking parties increase in attendance. Guests really can outnumber the sales force because as you start hosting team cooking parties, you're going to see more and more guests wanting to attend. And why not? And so if they do outnumber the sales force, that's great too. That's only going to help you to build your business. The number of people who join Tupperware after being at one team cooking party or two is really high because they see so much Tupperware in action. Their wish list really increases, and the best deal is to join our team and then be able to shop at the consultant pricing for that full 12 months. Now, samples aren't always on display, but we'll definitely have a catalog or brochure or the sample list with pictures on display so people can see the items and see the pricing. And sometimes, in fact, we host these events outside of our home and we rent public facilities. It just depends on what kind of home we live in and how many people we're expecting and that sort of thing. What stayed the same with our team cooking parties? Well, they really are an opportunity for team and guests to see lots of Tupperware in action. As I mentioned, more Tupperware in action than they would see at a traditional Tupperware party. It definitely builds confidence of those demoing because as they're demoing, people are asking them questions. We've had people very reluctant to demo and hesitant to demo, and they said it was the demoing at team cooking parties that got them to want to get out of their comfort zone and go out and host Tupperware parties. It also builds relationships among our team members across our entire company. Because the events are open to everyone in our company, team members will attend at someone else's house, they'll build relationships with each other, and it really helps them to, have a team member to rely on. Maybe if they're short of supply, they need to borrow a product or to want to bounce ideas off of someone. This is a relationship business, and the best kind of relationships we can have are the relationships across our company. And it really builds our business across Canada because team cooking parties can be hosted by anyone, and a brand new consultant really can host a team cooking party because as long as they have at least one product they can do a demo with, which comes in the kit because it could be the Chop and Prep or the Power Chef, that really allows them to host a team cooking party. This opens the door if we have team members across the country who don't live local to their director or their leader and don't have local events to attend, they can host a team cooking party. And some of them, in fact, host the team cooking party during our Sunday webinars. So, it might be smaller at first because our first team cooking party started with 4 people around my kitchen table. They grew to over 30 over time as attendance grew and as our company grew. But let's say 1 or 2 people gather on Sunday during one of our cooking webinars. They can gather, make a recipe or 2. They can watch the hour-long webinar and still see 5, 6, 8 other recipes using different products that they might not even have yet because they're a brand new team member. So we did outgrow my kitchen, as I mentioned. So we started with 4 and we grew to 30. And so in Saskatoon, the big Tupperware party was born. And we had our record attendance in July 17th of 2013 with 251 in attendance. Now, we've never reached that since because what happened as a result of that is we started to get team cooking parties, Tupperware bingos, Tupperware events happening all across Saskatchewan and now across Canada. And, there was less reason for people to gather at the big event we had monthly in Saskatoon because there were events happening locally all across, around, in and around Saskatoon. And the other thing that happened is in Saskatoon, it was very common to see 1 or 2 events each week. So our population in Saskatoon is 225,000. And it was very common to see, a team cooking party or a Tupperware bingo each week. And that really gave our team members more opportunities to see Tupperware in action. So what are your next steps? What can you do if you want to host a team cooking party today? Well, the first thing I recommend you do is reach out to your manager or director or business leader, depending on where you're at in your business, and let them know you are interested in hosting a team cooking party. Because they may be able to help support you. They may be able to help answer your questions, facilitate, guide you in that way. Or there may already be one happening in your area that you're not aware of or that's being planned that you didn't know about. And so it might be that you can attend one first before hosting one, just depending on the timing. You also want to coordinate with other local events. It would be silly to have 2 team cooking parties on the same street on the same night. But it might be okay to have them back to back because you might reach different people or on different parts of the city. Once you've decided you're hosting a team cooking party, set a date and a time, create the Facebook event, start inviting, and have fun with it. The sky is the limit. Be sure to keep it simple. Remember that the team cooking party is all about building relationships, building confidence, and having fun. And as a result, you're going to build your business. And as Tupperware often says, think big, start small, and begin now. Don't be afraid if your first team cooking party has you and one other person making recipes. The best thing you could do is go Facebook Live in your company Facebook group, making 1 or 2 of the recipes, post pictures, create that FOMO, and let people know the date of the next team cooking party, because I promise you, attendance will build. Once you're consistent on holding a team cooking party in your home monthly, you're going to see that your attendance will build, your business will build, and your paycheck will build. And you'll start earning an income, the income that you deserve, that's going to help you to reach your goals and to have the life that you deserve. So I want to thank you for joining me on this Zoom recording. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. And if you got at least one thing out of this Zoom, I'd like you to please go to your company Facebook group and share something that you got out of this Zoom and let me know when you will be hosting your very first team cooking party.